Welcome back, dear viewers. We're glad to have you with us. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. Now it's time for our first topic of discussion in today's episode. And throughout, dear viewers, throughout history, we have all read and heard about stories of the ancient historic Egypt, as well as also stories of the temples and tombs of ancient Egyptians, and to shed more light about the ancient history, not only in Egypt, but also worldwide. We're most delighted to be joined in the studio by prominent Egyptologist, Dr Bassam El Shamaa. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, Dr. Bassam. First, can you shed light on the unsolved mysteries of history?
History is not all ambiguous,
yes,
not all unsolved, but there is a section that keeps us on our toes all the time, reading about ancient Egypt, standing in front of monuments which is not explained to you. We can talk about how the genius engineering of temples and tombs, obelisks, and so on. Yes, we have made a huge journey towards solving many of and unveiling many of the mysteries of ancient Egypt,
yes,
but also, yes, we are still standing totally paralyzed in front of things like engineering and building the pyramid, for
yes,
example, and that's what made the West before us to call the Great Pyramid of Khufu, for example. You will never believe that statement. They called it engineering the impossible. And that is the people who wrote books about the Great Pyramid. They're talking about engineering something that today, with all our technology, cannot reach what the ancients reached.
Doctor, speaking about the pyramids, I have 2 points. First of all, your comment on the tourist that climbed up the pyramids illegally and took the shots, your comment on that. And the other thing about solving the mystery, did the anomalies that they discover will help by any chance to solve this mystery?
One, we are telling everybody with the sign that they are placing on the pyramid, do not climb pyramid. It's obvious. Yes, we need to put more signs of that. We need to put it on the ticket in different languages. Sometimes people are ignorant. The business of tourists can come and they will think that maybe this is like other places in the world that you can climb the monument. No, you cannot climb the monument, but you have to put it very clear to them. So from one side, yes, they are mistaken. From the other side, we have to put the fact that sometimes people are naive enough not to do the right thing. Now, concerning the business of the pyramids, was it built by the genius? Was it built by this and that? And sometimes when people tackle this idea of was it humans who built the pyramids, and you can smile and we can like make a joke about and so on, but during my work in the last 30 years in this amazing business of history and guiding and lecturing here and abroad, oh yes, there are people who are true believers on that as well, including Egyptians. And that taught me, when somebody come and ask me, this is not work of humans. So it taught me not to laugh at him and to actually say, oh no, hold on for a minute, I have got your proofs that it was built by humans. We have seen this, we have a papyrus that says that, and I start to put materialistic proofs. And that's what you have to do with ambiguous history, with unsolved mysteries. You have to have your proofs. For example, in my work, Ambiguous History or Gharab al-Tarikh, or the Strange History, which was released yesterday actually, we were talking about that in the book fair, about this idea of why are you writing a book called Strange History? Because in my few last books I said, okay, we have a guy called Hem-Iyun, he was the engineer of the pyramid, we know he was a genius, we have one statue for him, it's in Germany now, we made programs about him here, so we know the name of the man who designed this amazing building. That is a fact of history. You cannot dispute that. You cannot even say, oh, I think. No, you don't think. This is a fact, right? Now, on the other hand, I will tell you, there is not somebody will come and tell you there is not one hieroglyphic sentence inside the pyramid that says something about that this is the pyramid of Khufu, or where is Hem-Iyun, or the engineer, and so on, or the architect. And I will reply to you and I say, yes, there are royal cartouches of Khufu inside the pyramid, and they were actually drawn by the workers. And by putting the workers here and underlining the word workers, this is even more important. See how you can solve them. This is more important than the king himself. So you can ask me and say, oh, You are telling me that inside a pyramid, the name of the owner of the pyramid is less important than a worker out of 100,000 workers who wrote the name of the king? Yes. Why? Because royalty can give decisions. You can put your name in a cartouche on a temple or an obelisk that doesn't belong to you. Happened? Happened. Ramesses II did it more than once. Right? So he puts his name on some other king because he liked his statue, and that happened a great deal, especially between Ramesses II and a previous king called Amenhotep III. He loved his work, so he puts his cartouches on it. So for me, if you ask me, and that's quite disputed, I know classic historians will come up after what I say now, and I will say, oh, Bassam is coming up with new history and so on. I said, just try to understand what I'm trying to say for everybody who is concerned about classic history and newly written history, which I'm modestly leading the way towards it. The business is, if the king can put his name on a statue that doesn't belong to him, that makes him what? Trustworthy? Of course not. But the worker who is out of the blues that you don't know his name, he puts the name of the king inside the building, that I believe. That I will say, yes, he's right. Because one, he's not gaining anything out of this. Two, he's just putting a graffiti. This is the same idea of the graffiti. Or the graffito in this case, right? So, yes, I believe workers, I believe public, I believe public texts, texts of the ancient Egyptians rather than the kings. I would believe the ancient Egyptian people than the temple. You're going to tell the temples. I can sometimes dispute the temples, because what is a temple in ancient Egypt? The temple was the horn of the king, right? So you will never see a king who is sick in a temple, right? You're not going to see him ill. You're not going to see him old. We all grow old. We all have wrinkles. We will have eye bags in the future or now, right? But you will never see a king with old age. Ramesses II, dying 91 years of age. Look at him in Abu Simbel. He's 19. He's muscled. He's strong. He's every clear-cut features. Eyes looking towards eternity. Beautiful royal smile. What? This guy doesn't grow old? So do not take temples, that I say, and I know this is controversial.
For granted.
Do not take temples as your main source of history. So where is the source of history? From where you get your source of history? From the people. The writings of the people. And that is the important stuff.
So what other strange facts that go beyond the human understanding?
Excellent. Ancient Egypt, when you are learning about ancient Egypt in classes and schools and universities, you're always learning about how fantastic those people were, and of course they were, and how achieving these people were, and indeed they were. But we never tackled things like corruption. Here you go. So everybody goes, corruption? Ancient Egypt? That was never put in one sentence together. And I will tell you, oh yes, there were corruption. They were humans, right? Why are we tackling the ancient Egyptian subject as those people were coming from somewhere strange, and they were a race of people that are not related to people of 2016. Of course they were humans, and of course there were the good people, and we have Snefru, the king Snefru.
Yes.
He 1,000 years after his death, he was called the good king. If he was called the good king during his time, I will tell you, people are trying to make good words about him and so on, as people do, or some people do. The boss, oh, you are the biggest boss in the world. The boss is gone, oh, he wasn't this and this and that. Now, Snefru was called the good king 1,000 years after his death. Oh yes, he was a good man. Why? Because 1,000 years after his death, there is no good thing will happen to you if you say good things about a guy who died 1,000 years. Like myself, for example, I will tell you Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi was an amazing man. Am I gaining from Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi anything? No, but I'm stating fact of history. On the other hand, corruption, oh yes, there was corruption. Oh yes, and it is documented. And we have a king, an amazing man, called Jutmoses III. Jutmoses III, Jehotimes III. That's hieroglyphic, how you can pronounce the name. Of course, we took it and we made it Tutmosis III, right, which is wrong. So, but there is nothing called Tutmosis III. And if you went back to ancient Egypt, 1400s BC, and called somebody Tutmosis, nobody's going to give you any concern. Because you are not pronouncing something ancient Egyptian. So, Jehotimes. Mes is the sun, S-O-N. Jehuti is the deity, the mythological deity of wisdom and science and search. So he is the son of the deity of wisdom. This is the explanation of the name. That's why, importantly, we have to say his name is Thutmose, not Thutmose.
Yes.
Anyway, so Thutmose III, because the people know him as Thutmose III. This man appointed a vizier with a V, right? And the vizier is today's minister. Viziers in ancient Egypt were not only ministers, but they were also judges. So a judge can be a minister can be a judge. One person can have both jobs. It seems that in ancient Egypt, there was the letter of employment. Just like letter of employment today, you're going to get your letter, you're going to get your stamp. Here, I'm working in Maspero now. Right? So in this letter, the king is telling Rikhmira, the newly appointed guy, be very fair with people and do not dismiss who came to you unless and until he puts all what's in his throat right in front of you. This is how he
listen to the people.
Exactly. And do not dismiss, oh, I know what you... No. Listen until the end. See? So, Rikhmira, the amazing Egyptian man, now he's not a king. Now I'm listening. What is he replying? He's replying many good things, in the midst of which he mentions, and I will never, very important Egyptians, and I will never corrupt my job as a minister by accepting bribery. So now I know for sure that in ancient Egypt there was bribery. There was bribery, or why is he mentioned?
Yes.
So search, you read there, and you find a word in hieroglyphic called Neket. N-K-T. Neket. Neket, if you try to transliterate it, you will find the meaning is something.
Yes.
Something is a Neket. This is Neket, this is Neket, this is Neket, this is Neket. But an amazing man in hieroglyphs are translating this word as bribery. And this is something negatively lived in our genes. Negatively lived in our genes. Yes? What do you use today? You use the word what? When somebody give him something, in our Arabic, in our street language, give him something, it can be translated as bribery. So something in ancient Egypt, thousands of years, a word that lived. Oh, that one lived. Oh, that one lived. Right? So of course this is wrong. So Neket, you will end up in ancient Egypt, if you accept Neket, you will end up in the Itah. Itah is a hieroglyphic word for prison. We never heard about prisons in ancient Egypt. Ambiguous history. Not ambiguous. We are solving it. Yes, there were prisons. And yes, there was a law. And there was a constitution. And Horemheb, the famous king, was the first man in history to make a constitution out of 10 articles. 5 of which is putting laws on the judges. So the first constitution in the world, the first dustur in the world was written by an Egyptian, and 10 articles, 5 of which was tackling the business of judges.
But there was a very strict system.
Oh yes, my dear. Oh yes, my dear.
Yes.
Strict system is the word.
Yes.
You are trying to tell me perhaps in some cases would be the iron fist. Oh yes, sometimes. I'm not agreeing.
That's why they were so successful, yes.
Yes. For example, tax payment. There was a tax system in ancient Egypt, and I disagree with that, but it happened in ancient Egypt.
Was there bureaucracy back then?
Oh my brother, we are the inventors of bureaucracy. I'm not this, and we are the inventors of bureaucracy. There was this business of you have to bend for whoever is the boss because the boss knows better than you. Do not walk with the boss on the same level. Walk right behind. Yeah, oh yes, there was bureaucracy. Yeah, big time.
The king was the god.
At the same time, in ancient Egypt, there was, if you like, demigod, if you like, the demi-deity, the half-deity. He's not the complete deity yet. Yes. When he dies and he goes to the other side, he turns. But some kings, indeed, you are right, in some cases, oh, they didn't wait until they died to be a deity. Oh, I'm going to be a deity now. Yes. Why wait? Ramesses II in Abu Simbel, remember in Abu Simbel, 2 days a year when the sun penetrates and go and expose and illuminate and all of this. Why is Ramesses II sitting right beside Ra-Horakhti? Ra-Horakhti is a deity. He's a mythological deity. Why is he sitting right beside Imin Ra? We call him Amun, wrongly Amun-Ra.
And the celebration is marked until today.
Until today. And it's a genius theory, and every time I come to Maspiro, explain why this, what's happening, and why is he sitting right beside the deity's shoulder to shoulder?
Yes.
Like your shoulder is equal to his shoulder. Now that means equality. Because carving and art, and that is something else in unveiling the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Please, ladies and gentlemen, whoever is studying or reading history, in ancient history, let me tell you one sentence as a proverb. Take it as a proverb, put it right there, with platinum letters. Art in ancient Egypt is not for the sake of art.
Yes.
We don't have Mona Lisas in ancient Egypt. We don't have Giocondas in ancient Egypt. We don't have Picasso in ancient. We don't have Salvador Dali in ancient Egypt.
Everything was done for a reason.
For a reason. Political, oh yes, big time. Religious, of course. Social, yes. For you to document something for the afterlife or document something for your daily life. For you to beautify the temple, this is not because yourself and myself will go inside the temple and watch those things. Oh, beautiful. Oh, look, kids. Oh, but the artist was... No, that didn't happen. Because temples were not even entered by you. Temples were for the high class, the high caliber of the society. Temples were not for yourself and myself. We can see the temple from outside. Oh yes, you can be on the outside, but inside, oh no, it's the priesthood, high priests, the workers of the temples, noblemen, noble women, and so on. People who know. We have a word in hieroglyphic explaining Luxor as the city of power. Was in hieroglyphics, W-A-S. Now, if you put the letter T for feminine in hieroglyphs, it becomes waset. Power is waset. Do you have waset? You have power. You remember the song of Al-Azabi? You are from here, I am from Wasta. You remember the famous song of Luxor? What is Wasta? Wasta is the name of a city in Upper Egypt. Wasta. Power. Well, today it still exists until today. Today, when you have wasta,
you have power.
You have power. Negative, yes, I agree with you, but it lived. That's what I'm trying to convey. I'm trying to convey the message that ancient Egypt, genius as they were still humans, and they were still acting things which can be, and we can use those things today to know how to tackle problems like bribery, like people who are escaping from taxation, and so on and so forth.
Doctor, speaking about beliefs that still exist till today, the Egyptian curse, and what the people are still now believing in the governorate of Sharia, that their homes are being burnt and they're being cursed by Egyptians. If you can tell us more about that.
Okay, I've been reading history and working around the temples for the last 30 years almost. If there was a curse, I would be the first person not to be existing on this sofa today. That's number one. So thank goodness, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing happened to me. Two, I did not see major things that can be explained as, oh, mummy curse in temples and tombs. And I've been to places. I've been to dark places, I've been to mountains, I've been to desert and Sahara. Oh yes, oh we saw skull, I don't know where in the sand, and yes. I didn't excavate, but that happened during when I was taking people around and telling them about my country. So if any of these things could have happened, I would have seen it, number one. Number two, there is nothing called the mummy curse. There is nothing called a mosquito that came up from the sarcophagus of Tutankhamun and it bit, I don't know, Lord Carnarvon and I don't know what, and the guy died because he was bitten by a mosquito that lived 3,000 years in a coffin. Wow, this mosquito is amazing. So, amazingly enough, some people believe in that. Now, what I'm trying to tell you here is, there were events. Oh yes, there were events. There were scientists who faced problems. Oh yes, we had scientists who faced problems. We had scientists who died. Oh yes, we had scientists who died after an excavation or something. The other day somebody was telling me, the professor of so-and-so gave in his lecture, there is no mummy curse, and he went out of the university and he was run over by a car and he died. Is that a mummy curse or what? The guy who just refused mummy curse. I said, fine. A man who said no mommy curse, he got run over by a car. How many people who said no mommy curse and did not get run over by a car? So to translate the events in this way is of course wrong. But scientifically, we had Dr. Hala. Dr. Hala made a very famous study, and this study was, at the end of the day, there were certain bacteria and certain things that is in a mummy with the chemical reactions for thousands of years. It performed this business of, if you open after 2,000, 3,000 years, you sniff this and it causes some problems with your respiratory system and other systems in your body, and it ends you up. So scientifically and medically, yes, there are reasons why people get infected inside tombs. Do we have a power from 4,000 years ago that's still controlling our lives today and can control your death and life? Of course not. This is against all logic, all religions and everything. So the final word for the mummy curse, the final word for Sharqiyya, search for the scientific reason why things like that are happening.
Okay. Sir, your final comments in this segment. We really do appreciate your insight.
Read your history, because history by the book and by the numbers repeats itself. You don't want to suffer in your daily life. You have to read what happened yesterday, because yesterday dealt with the problem. You deal like so. You don't read your past, you cannot enjoy your present, and definitely you are not going to be able to design for your future.
Well, Dr. Bassam El Shamaa, Egyptologist and tourism expert, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
sir.
And dear viewers, a short break, and we'll be back to resume the remaining segments of the Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International.